Hello, everyone. My name is Cristina Baroudi, and I'm going to talk today about future-proofing the clean energy supply chain. So this is my disclaimer. Please read it later. I don't really have time to read it myself. So I'm going to divide my presentation into two subparts. First of all, I'm going to talk about the sector overview very quickly, and then the challenges and requirement and solution to reach a hydrogen competitiveness. So as you know, today, the supply chain of hydrogen is quite complicated. You first have to produce renewable electricity, transport renewable electricity, produce green hydrogen from an electrolyzer, transform it, transport it, and then use it. Today, hydrogen is used for refining and chemical industries. However, it could be used for different industries, such as agent to enhance production in iron-making process, as a reactant or feedstock for the chemical processes, to retrofit equipment such as ethylene cracker in petrochemicals, as an energy carrier for aluminum recycling and for the paper industry. It is the main option for industrial processes requiring high heat and combustion. You could use hydrogen for power generation, transportation, building heat, and power generation. Hydrogen, in fact, has many advantages. It's compatible with existing natural gas infrastructure, so it's very cost-effective when doing a supply chain. And it increases efficiency, especially when you want to decouple carbon-free energy production, such as variable renewable energy and nuclear energy from its utilization. However, hydrogen today has some challenges. It is not yet cost competitive with alternative, and many governments are actually looking to decrease the price of hydrogen to $1 per kilogram. Just a few, approximately 4% of projects are under construction or have reached a final investment decision. The key reasons for that are uncertainties about demand, lack of regulatory frameworks, and lack of available infrastructure. So we really need experts that understand the physical, chemical, and material-based perspective of the supply chain. You really need to understand concepts such as the re-levelized cost, capital-intensive and non-capital-intensive concept, dispersion cost evaluation, operational and maintenance cost, impact of stack life, load factor, efficiency, impact of time of storage of hydrogen, impact of distance on the price of distribution of hydrogen, and impact of chemical reactions. I have shown here a table just to showcase how one of these variables can have a huge impact on the cost of green hydrogen being produced. In fact, if you use a large PEM electrolyzer instead of a small PEM electrolyzer, you could reach half of the cost of green hydrogen being produced. There is a need for theoretical testing and modeling. You need to do techno-economic framework to understand the workflow and assess technologies and system integration. I have taken some equation here from a techno-economic framework I have worked on from scratch to showcase how these different variables can have an impact on the quantity of green hydrogen being produced and thus the price of green hydrogen. It is really important to add to that sensitivity analysis to understand their effect on cost and find the right subcomponents and materials to actually choose the best materials. In order to reach clean energy and zero emission, you really need to take in consideration the different technologies that are available. You really need to take in consideration the interdependence of technologies. In fact, 9 of the 12 categories depend on the build-out of renewables, as you can see from the map that I have provided. Electrolyzers, renewables energy, energy storage system, and EV charging infrastructure requires transformers and rectifiers. In fact, approximately 20% or more of the cost of materials of battery electric vehicle and fuel cells is shared. Potential synergies in building infrastructure for both electrons and molecule hydrogen can help serve high demand and hard to serve areas by reducing peak loads and necessary grid upgrades. However, there is some challenges to that. This can create system-level bottlenecks and integration costs are created. To address this, you need to infrastructure and build an enabling environment to combat deployment risk, create new technologies to address the competition between land, water, and raw material. And finally, train a skilled workforce for the decarbonization economy needs. Imagine, believe it or not, that the United States already experiences an undersupply of around 400,000 construction workers in 2022, primarily for mega projects. So the question you really need to ask yourself are which suppliers, processes, or facilities present potential single point of failure in the supply chain, and which critical inputs are at risk from shortage or price volatility. In fact, the collaboration between the different stakeholders in the supply chain is really important. According to Bloomberg, many companies are producing electrolyzers and supply far exceed demand. If you ask yourself this question, you could actually create the right technology and be an added value to the supply chain. Electrolyzer factories can actually produce 31.7 gigawatt of devices per year, which is a 7.4 times the firm's 2024 forecast for global electrolyzer sale. Many companies say today that they have the electrolyzer that's commercial. However, some should ask themselves, how about producing green hydrogen at a lower cost? And in order to do so, you should always take in consideration more innovation, collaboration with researchers, innovators. Here's an example of an innovation. The added value of a magnetic to the electrolyzer can enhance the mass transfer so much. So various incentives are today boosting the hydrogen market, such as the ERA in the US. An example of the impact of incentive created by the ERA is showcases here with a very simple table. You can see the impact of a combination of tax credits for renewable electricity and for green hydrogen being produced. In fact, you can reach half the cost of the levelized cost of the hydrogen being produced by taking in consideration these tax credits. However, there are some weaknesses that you still have to take in consideration, such as the lack of good detailed communication of public incentive and their application, the focus of the public sector on the production side rather than the demand side, the lack of standard and transparent data sharing, the complex permitting and licensing that actually delay the project, and the lack of risk management, the lack of combining available credits, and the need for government targets to be translated into real work projects beyond the current project pipeline. So critical factors that should be considered are, for instance, solar irradiance, water availability, infrastructure availability, terminal repurposing, deep dive into the subcomponents of technology's competitiveness. Today, the cost of green hydrogen is the lowest in regions with good renewable resources and where fossil fuels are not available locally. Cost for electrolyzers can fall by approximately 70% by 2030 compared to today if the planned scale-up in manufacturing capacities take place. And considering the effect of drop of the cost of renewable electricity and the scale-up by 2030, you can reach a range of $1.3 to $4.5 per kilogram of H2. Take in consideration the tax credits and the right site selection, you can you see, as you see from my graph, you can really reach a very cost-competitive price of green hydrogen being produced. So today, the supply chain of clean energy in general, is very linear. And this creates a redundancy of the middleman. Even though middlemen might have a positive impact, such as efficiency and specialization, risk mitigation, market access, you still have to take in consideration the negative impact that these middlemen can have, such as increased costs, lack of transparency, dependency, and environmental concerns. Strategies to avoid using the middlemen are, for instance, direct purchase contracts, on-site generation and direct contract negotiation between producers and buyers, group purchasing, peer-to-peer trading, regulatory advocacy. Finally, you also need to create the right strategy to be implemented effectively to attract investors and secure funding that is needed to advance clean energy innovation and employment. And some of these strategies are building strategic partnership, mitigating risk associated with the energy projects, such as technological, regulatory, market, and financial risk, communicating ESG impact, engage with investors during the early stage, seek professional advice to structure investment deals, navigate regulatory requirements, and optimize project economics, and develop a strong business case and value proposition that includes potential return on investment, market demand, competitive advantage, and scalability. So, finally, ladies and gentlemen, as a summary, there is a big need for a circular supply chain, and an effort should be integrated through a centralized strategy where experts in hydrogen and clean energy should manage the project and work on modeling and engineering the most efficient hydrogen supply chain, which is tailored for the geographical location and the end use. And of course, other factors. Using different debt techniques, such as techno-economic frameworks, evaluating integration of technologies and cross-border trade and exchange, and collaboration with companies, scientists, and innovators. You should implement analysis and public incentive and site selection, of course. Experts in the hydrogen sector should identify the right supplier for each segment and should be creating and submitting the right proposal to different investors. By doing so, clean energy and hydrogen in particular are provided at a lower price thanks to the added value of connecting the different stakeholders. This will help save money, save time, and improve business margins. And of course, avoid the use of redundant middlemen. This, in turn, can promote the decrease of energy inflation, lack of access to energy, and impact on the environment. Thank you. Thank you very much.